Hey everybody, this is my Week 4 report for the Oakland Raiders coming into town to play the Baltimore Ravens. As we all know right now, the Ravens are 3-0, so we're real happy and excited about that. But there's still a lot of issues the Ravens have to work out. Number one is definitely the run game and the lack thereof. The Ravens have not been able to run the ball well, haven't seemed to get any kind of rhythm going. Buck Allen hasn't played really, so it's really just been a two running back system with Forsett and Terrence West. Towards the end of the game last week, when they were in the last drive, when they were getting ready to set up for the field goal, it did seem like they were right. They got it together towards the end to get that drive together. They put together some like 7, 9, even 10-yard runs during that last drive, but it's got to be more consistent. Even Flacco came out and said in a press conference that against better teams, when they get into like December and January, especially you look at the later part of that schedule, we got to play the Eagles and the Patriots and the Steelers, Cowboys. When they play, and the Bengals as well. When they get into that latter part of the schedule, they're going to be facing some very tough teams, and it starts getting cold. Running the football becomes paramount. If you can't run the football, it's going to be really hard to win football games. Just like we see in baseball. We're getting to that point in the season now in baseball where hitting the home run ball isn't going to win you games anymore. You got to be able to play a small ball and manufacturing runs. That's the way the NFL works the same way. It's flashy football, as far as passing the ball and 50-yard bombs, 45-yard bombs, whatever, long plays down the field. But you got to be able to control that clock and keep the defense on the field, their defense on the field, so they can get tired out by the time you get into the second half of the game. Coming into this game, we do have some some guys on the injury report that are questionable. Notables right now are Elvis Demerville, although we have heard from Terrell Suggs say that he thinks that Elvis is going to play come this Sunday. So he's still a game time decision. As fans should know, the NFL got rid of the probable designation for injury reports, so they can only be listed now as questionable, doubtful, or not playing or not able to play, things like that. So questionable right now this year is the new probable. So it seems like he practiced, I believe, all week, so I think he's going to play. The two that concern me right now, left tackle Ronnie Stanley has not practiced all week. He's in a walking boot all week. And then the left guard, I think Alex Lewis is his name, is also hurt. Those are the two rookie guys on the left side. That concerns me considering Khalil Mack is playing for the Raiders. As we all know, Khalil Mack is one of the up-and-coming pass rushers in the NFL. That one game last season where he had 5 sacks by himself. So he's coming after going to get himself together. I don't think he's recorded any sacks this year so far, but he's going to get involved at some point. He's going to start getting those stats up. So that concerns me a bit coming into this game. On the bright side, going into this game, the Raiders do have the worst total defense in the NFL. They've given up over 79 points up to this point and allow over 475 yards a game. So if, fantasy-wise, if you got Mike Wallace or even Flacco at quarterback, I might want to pick those guys up because I think they'll be throwing the ball a lot this week, especially considering that, they get the game going first quarter. They're going to try to run the ball, I'm pretty sure, to try to get things going. If things don't go the right way, the Ravens for the last 3 weeks are like, look, we got to get started. We got to get started fast. We got to put points on the board. We can't keep playing from behind. They've done that now for the last 2 weeks. So they're going to be looking at, we got to get up early, and our defense has played well enough to keep us in games, but we got to be able to score points when we get the opportunity to. So going into that game, I think, for the Raiders, Raiders coming in, West Coast team coming to East Coast, 1 o'clock game, so their bodies are going to be acclimated. You got to pounce on them early. Just pounce on them. And plus the Ravens, have been taking a lot of flack, even though they are 3-0. When they listed the teams that are left that are undefeated, which ones are for real, which ones are not. They all listed the Ravens as not for not because they expect them to lose now to the next 2 games to the Redskins and to the Raiders. And the Ravens are trying to prove to themselves and to the NFL, rest of the NFL and the teams that, hey, we are for real. We've hit a snag. A lot of teams, look at the Steelers this past Sunday, who got whipped by the Eagles. That's not going to stay the same, I'm pretty sure, all season. They're going to get better. So, it's the first few weeks, guys trying to figure out things and trying to get used to each other and other stuff like that. I think the Ravens, with Mark Trestman back there, and then they have, some all new running backs pretty much. Um, two new offensive linemen on the left side, and you got Mike Wallace and Kamari and Steve Smith's back from injury. So guys are, they're guys are trying to figure out what fits well, what schemes fit well with this team. We did see the little, dink and dunk passes. Flacco completed 21 passes last week, setting a Ravens record, and possibly could have set a NFL record set by Dan Marino, which was 22. But the 21 passes were dink and dunk passes, not like they were across the middle. It's not like they were deep passes and things like that. And at the end of the day, that's good for controlling the clock and if you're not trying to take any chances. But with guys like Perriman, Steve Smith, and Mike Wallace out there, they only threw, I think, the deep ball one time, and I think that was to Mike Wallace for possibly for that touchdown. But that was it. I think that was just maybe 20 yards. Maybe he got to that 20-yard mark. They didn't really throw the deep ball against the Jaguars. I don't know if they were afraid to throw against Jalen Ramsey or what. I would have to assume coming into this Raiders game, though, with the worst defense and allowing over 475 yards averaging per game, allowing that many, I'm assuming Trestman's going to try to let Flacco launch the ball this week. Run those spread formations with four wide receivers. Pit your running backs out there to run the ball. And depending on what happens with Ronnie Stanley and Alex Lewis on the left side, that's really going to dictate what kind of plays they run. If that's the case and those two guys are out, the Ravens are not going to have a choice but to run those little jump-off passes. Flacco's going to have to get the ball out fast because Khalil Mack is going to line up on that left side of the line if he knows Ronnie Stanley and Alex Lewis aren't over there protecting Joe Flacco. He's gonna pick on that side all day. So Flacco's not going to have the time to set up the deep pass to Mike Wallace and those guys. So they're going to need to run a lot of those underneath routes. Also paramount, if it's also the fact they need to be able to run the football. That takes the pressure off the blitz and takes their game out completely. They cannot allow the worst defense in the league to come in here and dictate what the Ravens offense is going to do. This is a true test for the Ravens offense, I think, even considering they've played the Browns and considering they played the Bills and the Jaguars. This is the worst defense in the league as of week 4. As of week 4, the Raiders are the worst defense in the league. If the Ravens cannot put up over 300 plus yards and over 30 points in this game, they got some issues. This is a defense where the Ravens should be blowing. They come the first half, they should blow these guys out. It shouldn't be a game at this point. Now, granted, the Raiders' offense is pretty decent, but if your offense is blowing out their defense can't keep the offense off the field. They become one-dimensional, things like that. And also another thing is that the Raiders do run the ball pretty well. They rank number 3, I think, in the league as far as the run game is concerned. But if you come out early and go up by like 21, 28 points, they got to throw the ball. Running the ball is not going to help them at that point. So they got to jump on these guys early. Got to jump on them early. Defense has got to keep doing what they've been doing and play good defense. Eric Weddle has definitely shown his value back there. They had not been beat by the deep ball, which is definitely, if you look back at that Raiders game from last season, that's all they beat us with. And Eric Weddle and those guys have been able to stop that from happening, that deep ball going to Amari Cooper and those boys. And I would hope Jimmy Smith covers Amari Cooper. As we all know from last week, I think Sharice Wright was getting burnt by Allen Robinson that whole game until they switched at halftime and put Jimmy Smith on. That stopped after that. Once they made that switch, that stopped. And I think that's what encouraged me is that they did notice that they had to make adjustments. And they didn't just sit there and let's see if it works out. They realized this wasn't working. The game was too close. We're not going to lose this game. Let's make the adjustments now so we can fix and win this game. So I hope they go into this and look, Amari Cooper's their guy. We got to put Jimmy on him, plain and simple. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, we'll switch it up. You got to make adjustments if things aren't working. I hope the offense is doing the same thing. I did like what I saw from Flacco last week, where he's making adjustments at the line, he's putting guys here and there, and making sure guys were where they're supposed to be. And if he saw something he didn't like it, he switched out of the play or switched back to the play. So I did like that from Flacco. We're seeing maybe the maturation of Joe Flacco into and more of a signal caller out there instead of a guy a quarterback that just takes the calls from the offensive coordinator. That maybe he can start to feel a rhythm for the game and start, go out there with a package kind of thing, and he kind of makes the calls, things like that. So I think that's big. So they're dealing with injuries right now on offensive line, and you're possibly getting Demerville back. So we'll see. I know it takes some time away from Matt Judon and those guys, but I think uh, uh, what my dad, I think I was talking to about it, he made a good point was that what you probably do in that situation for Suggs and Demerville coming back, both of them with injuries, is you don't use Suggs and Demerville every down. You rotate them in and out, situational downs, third downs maybe, not every drive maybe. Give those guys enough time so they can come back 100%. I guarantee you, Demerville's not going to be 100% coming out there this Sunday. Suggs, at the second half of the game, definitely got it together. A coworker of mine told me that they apparently at halftime, Timmy Jernigan went up to Suggs and said, "Great players make great plays," because Suggs for the last few weeks wasn't getting any pressure on the quarterback and getting sacks. Apparently, after Timmy Jernigan said that, they went out there and Jernigan got a pair of sacks and then Suggs got a pair. So maybe that was what Suggs needed to go out there and play football. This Ravens team can be really good. I think they just need a confidence in themselves to go ahead and get it done. And that confidence comes from scoring touchdowns. Especially the defense, I think, has it. The defense has that confidence. They've gotten their sacks now. They're beginning in turnovers. They've shut out teams now in the second half of games and keep the team in it. Honestly, but that's only going to last for so long. Their offense has got to be able to start clicking. They've allowed enough weeks for the offense to kind of make some mistakes here and there without it killing them. But they got to get it going. This offense can be so deadly right now. When you look at the running back talent they have back there, with guys who can catch the ball, guys that can run the ball, and then you got the wide receivers and Mike Wallace, who's already caught 3 touchdowns. And you got Steve Smith still there. You got Kamar Aiken. You got Bashar Perriman. You got the rookie Chris Moore, a good possession receiver. You got Dennis Pill. You got Max Williams. You got Crockett Gilman. The talent. You got Kyle Juszczyk him out as a fullback, but can catch the ball as well. There's so much talent with this team that for them not being able to put up 30 points is like baffling right now. So this week is the week for as us Ravens fans to figure out what this team is really made of at this point. Because if they're not putting up 30 points on the Raiders, they're not going to probably put up many points against anybody else. And it's going to get really tough towards the end of the season when you got to play teams with high-powered offenses like the Patriots, who've been able to win without Tom Brady. That's a little scary. And you got to play the Giants with Odell Beckham and Victor Cruz, pending he's healthy. And you got to play the Cowboys with Dez Bryant. And you got Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott at quarterback if he's, Turner hasn't come back by then. So with those high-powered offense, then you look what the Bengals did. A.J. Green by himself, man, it's a one-man wrecking crew, what he did to the Dolphins this past Monday night. So the Ravens have to be able to start to get that offense going now. They got to get into rhythm before those games come along because they don't want to get into that stretch and lose 4 or 5 games and then you're out of the playoffs. Especially going to look at the AFC North right now. It's very tight and they're in the lead, but that can change really very quickly. So they got to get together on offense. And I said my remedy for that is this week in practice, they should have been working on the run game, finding out a way, even if you can't run the ball traditionally, the little screen passes or, where the running back comes up from behind the line and kind of sits there and like 5 yards deep, you get the ball and he runs it. And, Flacco, we've seen throughout his career, thrives on the play action ball. That's it. When he can fake that handoff and roll out to the right side or roll to the left and roll to the right side is what he does. And roll to the right side and sit there for like 5-7 seconds, he can tear teams apart. But he can't do that if they're not running the ball. And I think the Raiders know that now, so they're going to probably play in coverage and force the Ravens to run the ball on them. And the Ravens are going to have to use that opportunity to burn the Raiders. You got to be able to beat them on all fronts this week. Demolish this team. This is the chance for the Ravens to prove to themselves and to the rest of the league, hey, we are for real 3-0 team. We'll be hopefully 4-0. We can score points. We can dominate these teams. We're ready for anybody that comes at us. So I think the Ravens win. I'm predicting a score of, I want to say 35-17 for the Ravens to win. Get that I know it says that the Raiders are a bad defense right now, but this is a team you're expected to beat, and the Ravens have so far beaten teams they've been expected to beat. So to continue that trend, and go into the Redskins that next week. So that's my little spiel for this week. And I'll probably do a video after the game on Sunday. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.